All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for Chevron Federal Credit Union's 2025 annual meeting. My name is Darren Ravenel, Vice President of Learning and Development, and I will be your moderator today. Now, many of you have joined the meeting online and several of you are here in person. Whatever method you chose, we're thankful to have you here. Those attending remotely are in a listen-only mode, and for those in the room, I'll ask if you haven't done so yet, please go ahead and silence your phones, your watches, any other devices for the duration of the meeting. Now, during the registration process, we invited you to ask a question, and we'll answer many of those questions today towards the end of this meeting. You'll also be able to ask questions today, and we will certainly field as many of them as time will allow. Remote attendees will simply use the Q&A feature within Zoom to submit your questions. So just look for the button that actually says Q&A on it to submit those. Those people who are here in person in the room, if you've got a question, simply use one of these Q&A forms. Go ahead and fill that out, hand those to one of our greeters here, and they'll get that question up to me. This meeting is being recorded, and we'll post a link to the recording on the credit union website by the weekend. Now, we have reached a quorum, so to kick us off, I have the privilege of introducing Alan Wong, Board Chair for Chevron Federal Credit Union. Alan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Darren, and hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2025 annual meeting. My name is Alan Wong. I've been a member of the credit union for 16 years. I've served on the board of directors for the past 4 years, and it's been my honor to serve as your board chair for the past year. I'm here on behalf of the board of directors who, like you, are also members. And together we represent and serve your interests, such as the better rates, better fees, and better service that we all enjoy and appreciate as members of the credit union. In addition to Darren, who will facilitate tonight's meeting, I'm also joined here today by John Berlin, who is the CEO of the credit union, and also Denise Coyne, who is the chair of the Supervisory Committee, who will be joining us virtually. We were pleased to see over 250 people register for tonight's meeting, and we appreciate the opportunity to engage with you directly. In addition to the many of you who are joining us virtually, we have some members, board and staff here with us in person at the credit union headquarters in Concord, California. And tonight we'll provide an update on the credit union's recent performance and priorities. We'll also handle a few formal housekeeping items. So in a moment, Darren will share on screen the agenda for today's meeting. Okay, our first order of business will be the approval of the minutes from last year. John will then provide an update on the credit union. You will then hear from Denise Coyne, who will provide an assessment of the credit union's financial soundness and the control environments. We will proceed with the election of directors, and we will conclude with Q&A. All right. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from the 2024 annual meeting. The minutes were published on the credit union's website earlier this month and are visible on the screen right now. To provide more time for Q&A, I make a motion to waive the reading of last year's minutes. Can I get a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to waive the reading of last year's minutes. We will now ask members to vote on the motion to waive the reading of the minutes, beginning with those participating virtually. For those of participating virtually, on your screen, you can vote on the motion to waive the reading of the minutes. Please vote now.
Now, while the remote attendees are voting via Zoom, I'm going to poll the in-person audience. So all those here who are in favor of waiving the reading of the minutes from last year, I'm going to ask that you raise your hand and keep it raised while I take a count. Thank you. Thank you very much. All those who vote no, please go ahead, raise your hand and keep it raised. And those who choose to abstain. All right, the ayes have it and the motion is adopted.
Thank you, Darren. I now move to approve the minutes from the 2024 annual meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, we will now ask members to vote on the motion to approve the minutes, beginning with those participating virtually. You may abstain from the vote if you did not attend last year's meeting. Everyone participating virtually should now see a second poll asking you to approve the minutes. Please vote now.
And again, while the remote attendees are voting via Zoom, I'm going to poll the in-person audience. So again, all those in favor of approving last year's minutes, please raise your hand, keep it raised. Those who vote no? And any that choose to abstain? All right, the ayes have it and the motion is adopted.
Right, the minutes are approved. Okay, so before turning it over to John, I wanted to make a few remarks on behalf of the board. As a not-for-profit financial institution, our purpose is our members. Instead of returning profits to investors, we return value directly to our members through better rates, better fees, and better service. On that note, the board has three key focus areas which have not changed. The first is safety and soundness. The next is member value. And lastly, member experience. On safety and soundness, the board and senior management team have a fiduciary duty to act in good faith and in the best interest of you as members to ensure the safety and soundness of the credit union and your deposits. With over $5 billion in assets, CFCU is financially one of the strongest and largest credit unions in the United States. And we employ a conservative and prudent approach to risk management. And as John will share later, our financial position is strong, both on an absolute basis and in comparison to peers. Our second focus is on member value. We consistently benchmark ourselves compared to banks and other credit unions. And I'm pleased to say that our deposit rates are high in comparison to peers. Our loan rates are low in comparison to peers, and we strive to minimize our fees. All of that translates to more money in your pockets. And lastly, member experience is a key focus for us as well. Don will speak to the many initiatives that we've completed and are working on to improve the efficiency, security, and ease of doing business with the credit union. Lastly, I wanted to reinforce that your feedback is important to us. So thank you for taking the time to provide feedback through our surveys related to your own experience as a member. The board reviews these surveys regularly with management because we want to know what we are doing well and where we can improve. Thank you all for joining us today. We appreciate your continued trust and engagement. So with that, I will hand it over to John.
Great, thanks very much, Alan. I'll just give some highlights for 2024 and also just a little bit of a preview of what's happening for 2025. Really all starts with the mission, and you can see here what our mission is, both focused on members and then the sponsor communities we serve. And really, I love just calling out the part about fueled by our passion for member success. That's really at the heart of everything that we do. And then similarly, our vision guides what we do, and it's a simple vision, which is what will be the premier and most trusted financial services partner for members in the sponsor communities we serve. So again, the mission and vision guides everything that we do. Now, in terms of what we provide and our value, what's the value that we provide to members? We really think of three things. One is personalized service. Alan talked about the member experience and the surveys that we track. It's really that personalized experience that makes members feel valued and appreciated. Convenience, making things streamlined and easy to do business with a credit union. And value, Alan talked about the highly competitive rates, loan and deposits, and low fees. Now, one aspect of convenience is when you want to go into a branch or visit an ATM. So our 20 branches are located very conveniently at our sponsor, Chevron and Bechtel locations. More broadly, we're part of a shared branch network with other credit unions where we have over 5,600 across the country. And then our shared branches with other credit unions is access to over 85,000 ATMs across the country. Now, do you have to be convenient, do you have to visit a branch? Absolutely not. And one way you access us is through digital banking. And our goal through digital bank, we continue to make a lot of investments in our digital banking capabilities. Our goal is ultimately for you to be able to do almost everything by digital banking, and we're making good progress towards that vision. The other thing that I'm really pleased to report about is that we've fully rolled out our video banking channel. So any member anywhere can schedule an appointment to talk to a credit union staff member and have the same kind of experience you would have if you went into any branch, a face-to-face experience. And pretty much the only thing you wouldn't be able to do is transact cash. But aside from that, you're having a highly personalized face-to-face experience. So something we're very excited about continuing to build. We talked about in the mission, our focus on Chevron, Bechtel, and our other core employer groups. Is just some examples of that here. It's pictures on this slide. It's something that we spent a lot of time at every location with Chevron and Bechtel throughout the year, both for member appreciation events, financial education and literacy, and trying to reach and show the value to potential new members. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things. Year in review for 2024. Again, starts with the member experience. These are the surveys that Alan was talking about. We look at these closely every single day, read study every comment we receive from members and follow up and do what we need to either spotlight a best practice or figure out how we can do better. One measure that we look at is on our surveys, what percent of our members say that we did an excellent or very good job. And we were pleased that in a number of these, it was in the very high 90s, and then in all cases, it was over 90%. And when you look at excellent alone, the scores are very high, but we've got ambitious targets to continue doing better and better on these. Another thing, just a little more detail on what Alan was mentioning about our very competitive deposit rates. This is the rate on our money market savings account, for example. It's up to 3.6% today, which is 7 times the national average. And so we really target our deposit and loan rates to be at the either at the top of the market or close to the leading position in the market, as well as keeping our fees low. Financially, deposit growth was a nice highlight over the past year. Deposit growth has been across the industry over the past few years more challenging because of the macro and rate environment. We had a strong year last year, 5% deposit growth, a little bit over $200 million in deposit growth. And that's really fueled, Alan had mentioned the number $5 billion we did earlier this year, cross threshold of $5 billion in assets. And we're in the top 2% of credit unions nationwide in terms of asset size. Another thing Alan mentioned was on our financial position. One measure of our financial strength and soundness is what we call our net capital ratio, which is essentially a measure of our financial reserves as a percentage of our assets. You can see there we're at 13. We finished the year at 13%. Our regulator considers a well-capitalized level to be at 7%. So we're close to double that level of what would be considered well-capitalized. And we're considerably above our credit union peer set in terms of this metric. Another highlight for 2024 was we launched a new state-of-the-art mortgage lending system, which you would notice if you go to apply for a home loan. It's a much more streamlined experience, and we're pleased that members have really given us very positive feedbacks since that rollout last year. Last year at this time, I was saying the same thing, but about our consumer lending system. We had upgraded and launched a state-of-the-art consumer lending systems, so for things like a personal loan or an auto loan. So over the past couple of years, we've really fully upgraded our entire lending systems, really all for the benefit of members to go on and have a much easier experience when they're applying for a loan. And then finally, in 2024, a few highlights were the new branches that we launched in really flagship locations. So you can see San Ramon, and then 2 locations one in downtown Houston at the Allen location where right where the Chevron employees work downtown, and at our City West branch where in Bechtel's new office location. And what you can see from these pictures, or if you've been to these branches, a very warm and inviting atmosphere is how we build our new branches. So what's up for 2025? A lot of really exciting things. We'll just hit a couple of high points. First one is we wanted to make it easier and easier to join the credit union or have a second membership. So we are in process of launching a new account opening system that we've wanted to do for a while, and that is proceeding well, and we will launch that later this year. Another thing is in terms of AI capabilities. Of course, AI is everywhere these days, particularly for, I mentioned for digital banking, one of the things we're looking to do, our vision is to be able to do almost everything that you can, that you want to in digital banking. AI is going to really help with that, and we want to build, in addition to what we already have in digital banking, conversational experiences that make it very, very easy to do what you need to do in digital banking. So that's something that we are really evaluating right now and will be investing in. And then another on the technology front is keeping accounts safe, keeping the credit union safe is really just the center of what we do. And one thing that we're excited about that's in development is biometric authentication. So think of if you taking a video selfie of your face in the future to do certain high-risk transactions. That's what we're in development now. And like what we did in 2024, a couple new branches coming. One actually is earlier this month was already launched. That's in the Brownsville branch. That's at Brownsville, Texas, at a Bechtel site. In fact, one of the largest projects in Bechtel's history. So there's a dedicated credit union branch there now. And we're also on our way to doing the same at a Bechtel location at Port Arthur at a major liquefied natural gas facility there. So lots coming, and very excited about 2025. And just, to all our members, I just want to say we deeply appreciate your membership and your trust in us, and that motivates us every day to work hard to continue earning your trust. So thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Denise Coyne, our Supervisory Committee Chair, for some remarks about the Supervisory Committee.
Everyone, my name is Denise Coyne. I'm the Chair of the Supervisory Committee. I've been a member of the Chevron Federal Credit Union for over 33 years, and I've served on the Supervisory Committee for the past 7 years. The Supervisory Committee engages independent firms to perform the annual financial statement audit and other necessary audits. The 2024 financial statement audit resulted in an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that financial statement auditors provide. The Supervisory Committee meets regularly with internal audit and our external auditors to monitor the state of the internal controls at the credit union and to ensure your assets are safeguarded. Based on the results of the internal audits and external reviews for the year 2024, we conclude that Chevron Federal Credit Union has adequate internal controls and is financially sound. And Alan, I'm turning the mic back over to you.
Great, thanks, Denise. So the final item of business before we move to Q&A is the election of directors. There are 5 vacancies to fill this year, and a special nominating committee has nominated the following individuals that you see on the screen: John Berlin, Daniel Abate, Bill Clutter, Billy Liu, and Doug Thompson. No nominations were received via petition, and since the number of individuals nominated for director positions equals the number of open positions, no vote is required. The nominees are elected by general consent. I'd like to take a moment to congratulate and welcome John Berlin to the board, expanding his role as CEO to join the board as a director to further collaborate and serve our members. So
Thanks very much, Alan.
all right, that is the last formal order of business. We will now move to Q&A, which Darren will moderate. We will address topics that members raised in advance, as well as the questions that have been submitted today via the chat feature in Zoom. Please note that some members submitted questions that pertain to their personal circumstances, and we've attempted to address those questions before the meeting, and we will continue to do so after the call today. So today we will focus on the questions that pertain to the general membership. For those of you in the room, we will allot a few minutes at the end for any live questions as well. Darren, please get us started.
All right, so our first few questions involve the economy and rates. So what's the credit union's view on the economic outlook, including the rate environment and inflation?
Yeah, thanks, Darren. So as a believer in market efficiency, we will say that we don't really have our own independent view of interest rates. We believe that the markets have all the information already baked into the interest rates today and what the expectations are for the future. I will say that there is certainly a lot of volatility and uncertainty in the economic environment that we do monitor the board and management every day. I will also note that we employ a pretty robust process for managing our interest rate risk, working with the Asset Management Committee, which is a volunteer committee as well, comprised of volunteers with subject matter expertise in financial markets. And I would also point out that we lean on and rely on the strength of our balance sheet and our capital reserves that John mentioned earlier. Thanks, Darren.
So our next question, our members are asking, how can I earn more interest?
We've come to the right place because this is, as we've mentioned a few times already, we really pride ourselves on offering really top deposit rates. So the two ones from a rate perspective that we'd be talking about would be the money market account or market edge account that I mentioned before, and has close to top of the market rate today, as well as our share certificate rates, which range of terms up to as short as 3 months and up to as long as 5 years. So very top of the line rates with those. And just important to the rates, our mission is to collaborate with all of our members to help earn them more money and make their money go further. So we love talking with our members. That's our job, and that's what we want to be doing all day, is to talk with our members about strategies to grow your money.
All right, and as we segue to the next set of questions, I just want to remind our audience that they can simply use the Q&A button if you're attending remotely, or the hard copy form if you were here in person. So having said that, let's talk about the branches. How does Chevron's headquarters move to Houston impact the credit union's branch strategy?
Thanks, Darren. So I would say that we are very well positioned to serve our member base in the Houston area. Just last year, we rolled out a new state-of-the-art branch in the Houston Allen Center, which is adjacent to the 1500 Louisiana branch that we also have in Chevron's offices. And the staffing that we have there is aligned with the current and expected population of Chevron employees and members in Houston.
This next one is a multi-part question involving the branches. So after Chevron phases out corporate staff from San Ramon, how long will the San Ramon branch continue to be open? And are there any branches in San Francisco? And finally, will you continue to source new members from the Bay Area?
So first of all, in San Francisco, we no longer have a branch in San Francisco. That branch was closed when Bechtel discontinued its operations in the city. We serve members who live in the city of San Francisco through our many other channels, some of which John mentioned earlier, such as digital banking, video banking, our call center, and so forth. Regarding San Ramon, we plan to maintain the San Ramon branch to serve the large population of current and former Chevron employees and their families for as long as they need to be. We will also put together some resources for our members who are current Chevron employees in San Ramon to help support them through this transition. So there's more to come soon on that. And last, I just wanted to emphasize that the credit union membership is for life. I would say we have a saying that once a member, always a member, and we will always be here to support you no matter your circumstances, to support you and your families.
Now, are there any changes to shared branch locations?
Well, I'll just say for shared branches, as I mentioned before, it's a very robust coverage across the country. So we've got 5,600 plus shared branches that our members can access. In terms of changes, there are some additions, subtractions, all the time, just based on participation by other credit unions. But in the big picture, it stays very robust in terms of the overall network. Also just say, like I said before, shared branches are great, and you also, if you don't happen to live right near one or you don't want to go into a shared branch, our video banking channel you can do, except for cash transactions, you can pretty much do anything that you could do in a shared branch and more, and get that very personal face-to-face meeting with our credit union.
So let's move over into loans. Are you planning to offer VA loans?
I love that question because we actually are on the verge of launching our new VA loans over the next couple months. It's VA, or Veterans Administration loans, something that we had gotten some feedback from various members about. And we took their feedback and we have developed a program around that. We're very excited for the upcoming launch.
And what are your mortgage and vehicle loan rates?
A lot of different rates, just depending on the different products or different terms or people's credit profiles. But one thing I can say that's consistent about all of them is that they're very, very, very competitive. And we, just every week we're benchmarking our rates against our peer set, and we look to be, as I mentioned before, at the very close to the best in market.
Now, do we have any plans to instantly approve personal loans and credit cards?
Yes, we actually already do. We already do automatically approve a lot of those loans. So whether it's personal loans, auto loans, our credit cards through our third-party partner. So we have a pretty significant portion that are already automatically approved, and then there's some that are require a manual review from one of our underwriters. We are looking constantly to continue to enhance the process, so because we want to have more and more automation, because it makes the member experience better and it's more efficient. So continue to work on that. But yeah, good news is that a significant portion is already automatically approved.
There's a question here on growth. Is there a limit to how big the credit union can or should grow? And what are the factors?
Yeah, I would say there is no defined limit on how much or how far, how fast that the credit union can grow. We do look for a long-term sustainable growth rate that can drive some economies of scale and naturally lower costs. Costs always do matter. But we also have to balance that with the nimbleness that comes with being a smaller organization and some of the close-knit culture that comes with that as well. So it's somewhat of a balance.
Okay. So let's talk about security. What measures do you have in place to ensure the security and protection of members' accounts?
Yeah, so security is absolute top priority, keeping our members' accounts safe, keeping the credit union safe. We think of this in three different buckets. So let me go through one by one. Technical controls, fraud management and fraud controls, and sets of member controls. So on the first one, on our technical controls, we think of it as multi-layered security, and we often use the phrase defense in depth, so that there are many different layers of many different controls that someone would have to get through. It's not dependent on one thing or two things or three things. There's all just a whole variety of encryption that we have, And then also from a technical control perspective, regular system updates, which ensures that we've got the latest protections against technical vulnerabilities. From the second one I mentioned, from a fraud management perspective, we have a dedicated team, a dedicated fraud prevention and mitigation team that does nothing all day except for identifying suspicion and responding to potential suspicious activities and following up on those and making sure that if there is something wrong, that we immediately shut down accounts and remediate it, or until we validate that. So that's the second one. And then the third thing, from a member perspective, we have a lot of ongoing education for members about potential financial scams and how to respond to that, those kind of things. We have a whole set of member alerts, which alert members to potential suspicious activities. Between all those kind of controls. And then one other thing from a member perspective is authentication. So secure authentication, multi-factor authentication to get into a lot of the applications. So between all those three sets of broad sets of controls that we invest very, very heavily in those and keeping everyone's accounts safe.
So keeping that theme, what recourse would I have to recover my funds if CFCU's operations were terminated and the amount of my share certificate exceeded $250,000?
Let me make a couple comments before I literally answer that question. The first thing is that $250,000 is the the deposit insurance from the government that is for single owner accounts. We work with members all the time to increase the amount of coverage through a lot of different techniques, through joint accounts, trust accounts, minor accounts. So you can have well over many times the $250,000 deposit insurance coverage. Second thing is, I'll just point back to our financial soundness and safety and security that Alan and I have both talked about, and the very strong financial position that the credit union is in. Now I'll answer literally what the question is. If at any financial institution, if someone has an amount over what the deposit insurance limit is, and the institution were to go insolvent and the government did not take over and reimburse the funds, or another financial institution through a merger didn't cover those accounts, then the amount over the deposit insurance limit would be lost.
And you talked about digital banking earlier a few times. How are you improving bill pay functionality?
Let me talk short term and longer term. In the short term, we actually went through a fairly significant upgrade along with our third-party partner on bill pay. That was in the fall, and the goal was to create a more streamlined and more intuitive user interface. We were happy to hear a lot of positive comments from members after that rollout. From a longer term perspective, we are working with our third-party partner who has trying to merge some of the best of breed of the versions that they've acquired over time. So we're looking closely at that, and depending on how our evaluation goes, we may be rolling out sort of a more state-of-the-art bill pay system over in the not-too-distant future.
And what are you doing to enhance service for members who call in after hours?
Just for everyone's benefit, I'll just note that from an after-hours perspective, we do actually have 24/7 coverage, across. So at any hour, you can call the credit union and get a live representative. Now, at nights and certain weekend hours, particularly on Sundays, we work with a third-party partner who fields those calls. So a couple of things that we're doing. One, we working very closely with them. They handle a significant majority of those themselves without having to refer them or escalate them back to us. We're working very closely with them to increase that percentage of successful resolution through a lot of oversight and guidance to them. And then one thing that we've done that has made a big difference recently is from our escalation process on, whether it's late at night or on a Sunday, we've increased our coverage for escalations for critical activities. So if you have account access issues or you have fraud and we need to do an initial triage of that and shut your account down, we have considerably increased coverage for that.
How are you planning to enhance service for international members who often have unique needs?
Yeah, a couple of things I'll point out there. One, we're actually studying that very thing, getting feedback from our international members to really hone in on what we focus on and in addressing those needs. So that's something that's ongoing. I'll also say that some of the things that we just talked about with our after hours service also apply to international members who are often in different time zones, and what's convenient for them tends to be sort of the later hours for us. So things like the after hours coverage that I just mentioned is intended to address that. And then video banking is something for international members. International members, obviously, we don't have branches outside the US, so video banking is a big step for international members to have a very personalized face-to-face experience in situations where they would like that.
Now, one member asked the following question, and I'm going to read this one verbatim. It says, I want to understand how my spouse can operate her own account with CFCU independent of mine since she is not a Chevron employee.
Good news there, because it's always the case that any immediate family member of a credit union member is always eligible to sign up for their own membership and to have their own accounts.
Okay. This next question gets a little technical here. They're asking, is there any chance that we can move to either an authenticator app or something like semantic VIP access instead of text messages for multi-factor authentication on the website, since their feeling is that text messages are not as secure?
This probably falls under the category of there are people who could answer that, but I think that's folks that we'd probably refer that for a little more a study for the right people, and we can certainly post a response to that person or on our site after the meeting.
It's a great question, though. I know security is always a high concern that we focus on.
Indeed.
Appreciate it.
So the members asked if we can continue to expect similar competitive savings rates in 2025 without the 2024 benefit of Visa's share sales gains to our bottom line.
The question was on the competitive rates.
Mm-hmm. And obviously they're enjoying the fact that our savings rates have been competitive in the past. And their concern is the impact of Visa sales share gains to our bottom line in 2025.
Oh, I
We'd
see.
be able to continue to offer such competitive rates.
I would say the answer is yes. We always benchmark ourselves against the top 10 internet banks who offered very competitive rates, as well as the other credit unions out there. And that is our primary factor in how we set our rates for deposits for members. It's a good point on the Visa stock share sale, and that was a benefit that all members, we as members, benefited from. That was not really a factor in the decision making and how we set our rates for deposits.
Okay, and the last question that we will have time to address during this meeting is, are we looking at any mergers for the near future?
Yeah, it's something that's always on our radar, and to be looking out for other potential partners that represent a good strategic and cultural fit. The objective for if we were to do a merger at any point would be in service of some one of the things that Alan mentioned before with economies of scale. There are advantages efficiency advantages to getting bigger, while we also balance that, as Alan said, of the advantage of being smaller and being nimble. There can certainly be advantages to from a merger to diversification, whether different markets or product set or various other capabilities. So it's something that's it's prudent to always keep our eyes out for the right opportunity. It's not something that we have to do and we would never do just to feel like we had to do something, but it's something that we always keep a constant focus of monitoring the landscape, and where the opportunity is right, we would certainly welcome a good fit.
Well, this concludes our annual meeting. I'm going to turn it back over to our board chair for final thoughts.
Okay, thanks, Darren. Before signing off, I wanted to say thank you for listening in, and we appreciate and value your continued trust and partnership. We don't take that for granted. And more importantly, I wanted to say thank you, and we appreciate you for being members.
All right, with that, I conclude this meeting. Thank you very much for your time. Wish you a very happy 2025.